My name's Amina. I'm 32 and I'm one of the founding members of Adira along with Ursula and Marjorie. And I'm just a born and bred Yorkshire. Well, not born, but been in Sheffield since I was a year old, so I like to think I was born and bred here. I guess I would describe my mental health journey as waves. Because I had a very typical happy childhood and was always just made to feel like a rock star, bit of a superhero. And then when I got to about 18 and I was just thrown into adult world where I had to make adult medical decisions for myself, I chose to have surgery that caused me to have a stroke. So that was the first adult decision I really feel like I made, and it backfired in a major way. So it just went downhill from there with trusting myself and all that. I didn't really know that's what was happening at the time. I'd never heard of the phrase mental health, and I speak Somali and even a few words in Arabic, and I've never heard the phrase mental and health put together. So when I kind of developed all this anxiety, and I hid it very well, but while I was hiding it, it became very apparent to me and to other people that I would just collapse at certain times and just let everything out and vent at people that probably didn't deserve it. And I didn't know what to call that. That I feel like until mid-20s, I didn't know that I had mental health issues. I think that I didn't know what mental health was because I was hit with a big trauma at once, but I was taught that I was this rock star human being, and like the stroke disabled me from one side. I could not walk or talk, funnily enough. But I'm like, my brain's still a rock star, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna beat this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. So when I fixed my physical self, there was a blockage to getting myself to admit that I had mental health issues. But I do think that my mom saw it before I did, and my siblings as well. But then I was living with epilepsy, and then I had this stroke, and I'm just thinking, oh, wow, you're just thriving here. But then they're seeing that I'm erratic and awake all night and sleeping all day and don't know no one. I dropped 11 stone in a year and got some of that back. But then I just had to go out and find the words for it, because they didn't know what it was. They just knew Summer in the milk ain't clean with this one, and we need to help her. And so I think that my main barrier was myself, but then my next barrier was trying to get someone to help me who I already knew. And so I would go to a doctor and I'd go, oh, okay, doc, I've got this and this and feeling I need to talk to someone. And they'd go to your epilepsy specialist. And then they'd go to your epilepsy nurse. And then she'd go, what am I supposed to do with your brain? I work with the medical side of your brain. Go get a psychiatrist. And I'm like, what, to who now? A psychiatrist? What am I gonna do with one of them? And because I didn't know what was wrong with me, I'm like, can you explain? Just someone, give me a clue. I think I found it myself. I did do therapy. I went to a therapist that specialized in people that had epilepsy and then developed mental health issues. I'm thinking bang on. And she's gonna sort me right out. I got 12 sessions and I'm like, I'll have 8 left over. She's gonna tell me exactly what's wrong and then I'm gonna go about my business. And I'm like, so, but it just went a little bit like, all right, so this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, and obviously I did this and this and this. What am I supposed to do? How do I stop overcompensating for this one mistake? Because I would just do crazy stuff to prove that I could. And so this idea of being like, oh, but when I was a kid, I was so independent and I did this and I looked after this person and I was a good big sister and I was a good little sister. How can I keep that up, but without having to fake it? And she goes, how does that make you feel? I went, I wouldn't be here if it made me feel great now, would I? And then it was just asking me to go back over what took me 5 years to get to start with. And I swear, I don't think we got past the first 18 years of my life. And I'm like, 12 sessions are over, good, are you fixed? And I went, well, I tried. But then you'd say, I just want to learn to cook, which to everyone else is like a burden. But in a Somali household, the kitchen's the hub of your house. So me learning to cook and my mum not wanting to let me because I could have a seizure on the stove seems very logical to my mum. Seems very logical to the nice white lady that's my therapist. But to me, it's like it's a rite of passage. What do you mean? It's like telling me not to ever leave primary school to go to secondary school. Why do I have to miss out on it just because I have epilepsy? I wouldn't have let that happen before. And if anything, I carried more weight after those 12 sessions. Because she's just like, just don't do it, babe. It's amazing. I never strayed from Pittsmore, so I went to, and I volunteered at the Advice Bureau, I volunteered at charity shops in Pittsmore. And all that came in were people with mental health issues. And it brought me to accept the fact that I had it, but it stopped me from feeling shame when I spoke about it. So I became one of those people you couldn't shut up and just sat there and I went, well, this is how you're living. Well, this happened to me and then I did this and then I did this and now half of my family think I'm out of my mind, but it's all right. Well, I'll get them back on side and it's gonna be all right because you know what? I'm not the only one. I'm still the only Somali person that I've ever met. But baby steps, I'll get them on side too. In my community, which I call myself Black, African, and Somali, but I predominantly was raised around East African people of all things. They praise somebody for living with a medical condition. So epilepsy, oh my God, you're a rock star. You have seizures. You fall about in Tesco and just shake it off and get up. But then you tell them that the idea of you feeling less than a sister that's 11 months younger than you or 2 years older than you, which I both have, I feel less than them because I can't do the simple tasks that they do. No, don't say that out loud, babe. You're not like those people that have mental illness. You're not like those that don't, put their pants on the right way or walk in a straight line, even when sober. And you're all right, you're just a bit left from center. And I've always been a bit left from center, I suppose, so it wasn't much different for a lot of people. So don't praise one and think of the other. I don't know how to put it, like don't dismiss the other and praise the medical condition, because they're both horrible. And for me, you can't see epilepsy until I fall over and have a seizure in front of you. So how would you know that one's worse than the other?